We've got this habit when it comes to video games, don't we, of placing more value on things with bigger budgets, or perhaps, more specifically, placing less value on things if they don't have a depth axis. I saw it during the Game of the Year conversations last year. If you suggested, for example, that Pentiment was the best game of 2022, which it was, there was a certain section of the audience who just found that baffling, insane, corrupt even, because they couldn't get past the fact that it was 2D, or it was all text-based, or it was all made up of drawings without a single shaded polygon in sight. It's clearly, therefore, less worthy of consideration than, say, God of War Ragnarok, because that game pisses money onto the screen from a giant hose. You know what I'm talking about. That kind of chat did my nutting for weeks, and then I forgot about it, and then I sat down to write something about Vampire Survivors. I'd got into it over the Christmas break because I could play it on my phone while visiting family, and it would give me something to do in the long in-between days of the holiday season where you're sat in someone else's house and you feel really horrible and lethargic and you can't quite figure out why, despite the fact that your breakfast is 5 handfuls of Quality Street. But even through the dim haze of the post-Christmas ennui, I could see, just like everyone had been saying for the preceding 8 months or whatever, that Vampire Survivors is incredible. Genuinely incredible, no caveats required, just unequivocally one of the most fun, satisfying and exceptionally well-designed games I've ever played. And yet, when I started writing about it for this very video, I found myself making excuses for it almost reflexively, calling it a palate cleanser or a cheap thrill, talking about it like it was something disposable that you can happily while some hours away on before switching to some other, more worthy pursuit. Not a proper game in and of itself, but an aperitif. Aperitif. I'm trying to illustrate something, alright? Can you just sit there for like 2 seconds? And it's not just me, check out the Steam curators. So one of my favourite Steam curators describes it as a simple coffee break game, which is not intended as a backhanded compliment, but could be sort of construed as one. And that's fairly typical of the examples I've cherry-picked to make this point. But that does the game a massive disservice, doesn't it? And I thought, am I not doing the same thing here that I found annoying about the way people were dismissive of Pentiment, regarding it as lesser in some way because it's not a big photorealistic 40-hour action adventure that retails for £70 fucking. I don't need to make excuses for Pentiment because it's a brilliant work of art expressed with an unfettered clarity of vision. And I don't need to make excuses for Vampire Survivors because it is a pristine and masterful execution of a fundamentally brilliant idea. An idea that came out on Android in the form of Magic Survival about 9 months before Vampire Survivors was a thing. It's not a secret that the creator of Vampire Survivors, Luca Galante, based their idea on Magic Survival. They've talked about it openly. In an interview piece with Patrick Klepek over on Vice, it's straight up described as being inspired by the slightly earlier game. I'm doing air quotes here because I've got to be honest, inspired by does a lot of heavy lifting here. If you told me that Magic Survival was actually an early prototype of Vampire Survivors, I'd believe you. So much of the Vampire Survivors experience is present and correct. The XP bar that sits permanently on top of the screen, the pointer that directs you to chests, the leveling up system, even the weapons themselves all have analogues across the two games. They are eyebrow-raisingly similar. But that's video games though, isn't it? Just a constant iterative process, a medium that keeps striving for better by tweaking formulas and genre convergence, and it's got to be said, just lifting other people's ideas but doing them better. The Magic Survival to Vampire Survivors pipeline is a fine example of how execution is critical. If you wrote their rules down on paper, they'd barely be distinguishable, but the differences are enormous. The latter evokes the sumptuous, oppressive gothic art style of the Castlevania games that we all love via species memory, whether we've played them or not. Every single sprite oozes with character despite being about 10 pixels wide. The amorphous, fuzzy blobs of the other game serve the exact same function, but sending them to hell just isn't as satisfying because you can't as easily project malice onto something that doesn't have a wee face. Vampire Survivors isn't story rich by any means, but there's enough there to trick the lizard brain into thinking it's John Wick in this monster slaying adventure set in the quasi-medieval Italian countryside, or as it's otherwise known, the Italian countryside. I'm allowed to say that because I'm Italian. Tricking the lizard brain is, of course, what Vampire Survivors is expertly designed to do. Literally, according to another interview with Verge, Galante cut his teeth in the gambling industry, so he understands how to make serotonin generators that pop and whiz satisfyingly enough to make otherwise functioning adults leather their money fruitlessly into slot machines. Those same principles have previously fully crossed over into video games, of course. Governments around the world have been holding committees trying to decide whether or not loot boxes should be regulated like gambling for years now.
Do you consider loot boxes to be an ethical feature?
No.
But Vampire Survivors doesn't use this power nefariously. It's just a good fun time that gives you the thrill of a Vegas casino, but that never costs you more than the $4 entry fee. Galante has gone out of his way, in fact, to make sure that his game is never twisted into a predatory trap. It was reported earlier this year that he'd taken development of the mobile port in-house, as he couldn't find a studio willing to do it without pivoting it to an aggressive ad-supported model. Instead, the entire game has been released for free with no intrusive monetization, just optional ads that unlock extra gold or resurrect you on death once, if you can be bothered. But the ad delivery is entirely left down to your control. The mobile version of Vampire Survivors is truly free to play for real. And I'm honestly surprised that I like it that much, because it's really not my type of game. Like, whenever there's an E3 showcase on and I hear the term roguelike or see something retro styled, that's my cue to go and make a cup of tea. But there's a purity about Vampire Survivors that bypasses all of these prejudices I've got. What exemplifies that purity, to my mind, is that it's easily in the top 50 games of all time, and it could have been made 30 years ago. But it wasn't. It's a game of today. Timeless in both directions. It would have been the ultimate Amiga game had it not arrived decades after that platform's death, which still hurts, by the way. Vampire Survivors is an incredible achievement. A masterclass in game design that's lean but deeply satisfying. There isn't an ounce of fat on it anywhere. And in a world where we've somehow gotten stuck in the trap of thinking that value equals bloat, that games aren't proper unless they have the budget of a Marvel film and all the charm of a Christmas temp job at Asda or a Marvel film, Vampire Survivors lights a beacon to a better way. And you can play it one-handed while petting a cat, so it's basically perfect.
Right, fuck you then.
I've been Jim Trinker for VG247, and you should definitely like and subscribe, because if you don't, you smell. Check out the website, check out the podcast, check it all out. Check it out like it's Supermarket Sweet, man. I'll speak to you later.